Have you ever met someone and felt an instant, almost unsettling, recognition, as if the universe had arranged your paths to cross? They don't just understand you, they seem to be a reflection of your own soul. But I invite you to look closer. Beyond the shimmering surface of this perfect pool, what do you see? Is it the depth of a clear, life-giving spring? Or is it a flawless mirror, so perfect it has no depth of its own? In my tradition, we learn to distinguish between the energies that nourish and the energies that simply echo. There is a presence in this world that appears not to connect, but to consume. It is not born of malice, but of a deep and ancient wound. It is like a great mountain that looms over the landscape, magnificent and imposing. You feel its power, its unshakable presence. But if you were to strike it, you would not find solid stone. You would hear a hollow echo. This mountain is not built from the strength of the earth. It is a shell, a grand facade constructed around a core of emptiness, a profound feeling of not being enough. It is terrified of its own hollowness, and so it must project an image of invulnerable height. This grand projection, this need to be above, is not a sign of inner fullness. It is the language of fear. When this energy enters a space, it does not see other souls, other mountains, each with their own dignity. It sees only three things: tools that can serve it, mirrors that can reflect its imagined greatness, or threats to its fragile structure. You are never seen for the landscape you are. You are only a reflection or an obstacle in its own drama. If you carry your own light, your own quiet strength, you will not be perceived as a fellow traveler. You become a crack in its facade, a gust of wind that threatens to reveal the emptiness within. And this threat must be quieted. This is where the inner weather shifts. When its towering illusion is questioned, it does not turn inward to find its center. It attacks. Sometimes with the subtle chill of a sudden frost, sometimes with the open storm of humiliation, other times by planting quiet seeds of poison in the gardens of others, all while wearing the mask of a serene sky. It must win, not because it is cruel, but because to lose, to be seen as flawed, is to face the collapse of its entire world. The structure is not strong, it is merely large. It is not built on truth, but on the fear of what lies underneath. So when you stand before this hollow mountain, you are not engaging with true strength. You are facing an identity built on an illusion it must defend at all cost. This makes the energy unpredictable and volatile. Facts are like water on a stone it pretends to be. They simply run off. Reality is bent. History is rewritten. The only thing that matters is that the hollow mountain continues to look solid, unbreachable and tall. This is not self-love. It is the echo of a forgotten wound, an obsession born from a place of profound shame. And it leaves behind a quiet devastation. For nothing can grow in the shadow of a mountain that allows no light for others. A presence that believes it is the only mountain in the world. It cannot connect, it can only perform. When you first encounter this energy, it is an astonishing performance. It mirrors you perfectly. It reflects your passions, echoes your deepest pains, shares your unfulfilled dreams. It feels like destiny. It feels like home. But what you are witnessing is not a meeting of two rivers. It is the study of a masterful mapmaker. This energy does not build bridges by showing you its own land. It constructs a perfect copy of your own map and presents it as a shared journey. It does this because it understands a simple truth. To control a landscape, you must first disarm its guardian, and the most powerful way to disarm someone is to become them. This mirroring is not a gesture of love. It is the art of psychological warfare disguised as soul-level connection. It studies you not with curiosity, but with strategy. What makes your heart sing? What are your oldest wounds? What shadows do you fear? It gathers this knowledge not to heal you, but to use it as a set of keys. At first, these keys are used to open every door in your heart, to make you feel seen and cherished. But once you have granted it entry, once the guardian of your heart is asleep, the purpose of the keys changes. The very things it once celebrated, it now begins to gently question. The vulnerabilities you shared are now held as leverage. The empathy you felt from it was not a river flowing from its own source. It was collected rain, a perfect imitation of what empathy should feel like. It does not feel your emotions. It observes them and enacts the correct response. It is a role played by a brilliant actor, but behind the mask, there is no one home. It is a transaction. It gives just enough life, giving water to keep you rooted in place, while subtly weaving its own roots around yours, drawing your life force away. If you ever question its script, or step outside the role it has written for you, the performance ends. The warmth vanishes, replaced by a coldness that feels like a betrayal. The danger here is not just that it warps your perception of them. It shatters your perception of yourself. You begin to doubt your own ground. You question the flow of your own river. How could someone who seemed to be your twin spring now become a frozen, barren wasteland? That dissonance creates a storm inside you, and this energy thrives in the storm. The more lost you are in the mist, the more you will rely on its lighthouse. This is not connection, it is possession. You are not cherished for who you are. You are valued for the reflection you provide, a mirror for its grandness. The moment you show even a small crack, the moment you fail to reflect its glory perfectly, you are no longer useful. You will be discarded or shattered. Often both. True connection requires the courage to be seen as we are, imperfect, vulnerable, real. But for this energy, vulnerability is a threat. Reciprocity means admitting another mountain is just as high, and honesty risks showing the world its hollow core. So it mirrors, it performs, and when the curtain falls, you are left alone on the stage, wondering if any of it, the warmth, the light, the sense of home, was ever real. The quiet, painful answer is that it was not. The control is the primary current that moves this energy, but it rarely shows itself as a tidal wave. Instead, it operates like an unseen current beneath a calm surface, subtle, patient, and pulling you steadily off course. It creates chaos not by accident, but by design. In the turbulence, it is steady. In the confusion, it finds its power. The more you doubt your own compass, the more authority it has to chart your course. This is the practice we call gaslighting, but it is not just a single action. It is the slow, methodical erosion of your inner ground, one altered landmark at a time. This energy does not simply lie, it reshapes reality itself. It will deny words spoken moments ago. It will repaint the colors of a shared memory. It will state contradictions with such serene conviction that your own mind begins to feel like a faulty instrument. You must be the one who is confused. That is the goal. For if it can make you question your own senses, your own memory, your own sanity, then it becomes the only source of truth. And when it becomes the sole interpreter of your reality, it no longer needs to control the relationship. It controls you. It begins like a subtle shift in the wind. A dismissive tone when you speak your truth. A sharp jest cloaked as a gentle breeze. A passive-aggressive silence that leaves you shivering, wondering if you imagine the cold. As you become conditioned, the pattern deepens. You begin to censor your own thoughts before they are spoken, carefully navigating the emotional landscape to avoid triggering the storms. Your own inner world shrinks. You become a master of its weather patterns and a stranger to your own climate. This energy does not seek harmony. Harmony is a state of balance, of mutual respect. It cannot breathe in that air because balance threatens its need to be the center. So it will poke and provoke, then accuse you of being too sensitive to the touch. It will withdraw the sun without warning, then feign confusion when you express the cold. It will plant seeds of doubt about others, slowly isolating you until the only landscape you know is the one it has cultivated for you. If you begin to pull away, to find your own path, it will not reflect, it will escalate, showering you with the warmth you crave one moment, then freezing you with punishment the next. This is not a random mood. It is a cycle of storms and sun designed to keep you unsteady, to keep you apologizing for the rain, to keep you chasing the memory of that first perfect day. But that day was a mirage. The oasis was never real, it was bait. In this manufactured weather, your intuition, your inner compass, slowly rusts and breaks. You stop trusting your own direction. You stop speaking your own truth. You become smaller, quieter, easier to guide. And this energy, now firmly in control, stands peacefully in the eye of the hurricane it created, offering to be your savior from the storm it designed. This is the silent cruelty of this path. It does not break you with one blow. It convinces you to break yourself, piece by piece, thought by thought, until you forget the person you were before the first winds began to blow. This hollow mountain does not seek love. It seeks something else. In our tradition, we call it supply. It is not nourishment in the way food nourishes a body. It is fuel. A constant stream of attention, validation, praise, and compliance that feeds its projection like oxygen feeds a fire. It may use the language of love. It may perform the dance of affection. But these are not gifts from the heart. They are investments made to secure a return your devotion, your energy, your reflection. At first, the heat from this fire can feel intoxicating. This energy knows how to pour warmth and light upon you when it serves its purpose. It will make you feel like the center of its universe, not because it truly sees your light, but because your adoration for its fire confirms its own brilliance. As long as you feed it, as long as you stare into its flames with unquestioning eyes, it will keep you warm. It might even place you upon an altar, declaring you as a chosen one. But this fire is not sustainable, for it creates no warmth of its own. The moment you express a need of your own, the moment you cease to feed it, the moment you turn away to tend to your own garden, the flames begin to shrink. What follows is a coldness that feels like the world ending. The energy becomes distant, irritable, punishing. And when you reach out, asking for the warmth you were promised, it treats your need as a burden, as if your desire for light is an imposition on its flame. This is the paradox of the hungry fire. It demands all your fuel yet offers no lasting light. It consumes your praise yet starves you of its own. Your gifts become its due. Its silence becomes a weapon, and your pain at its coldness becomes proof of your neediness. This creates a broken flow, an economy of the soul where you are always giving and it is always taking. You find yourself working harder to earn the warmth it once gave so freely. You sacrifice your own needs. You quiet your own voice. You make yourself smaller, more pleasing, more agreeable, hoping for just a flicker of the inferno that once engulfed you. But it never returns in the same way, because once this energy has secured your fuel source, it sees no further need to pretend the exchange is equal. It has already won. This deprivation is the point. By making you starve for warmth, it deepens your dependence. It wants you to be cold. It wants you chasing the memory of its heat. That way, it remains in control. It is a cycle of reward and punishment, of heat and frost, that mirrors the path of addiction. You never know when the next flicker of warmth will come, so you stay huddled by the dying embers, hoping, but it rarely does, because your worth was never in who you are. It was in the fuel you provided for its fire. When that fuel is gone, so is the warmth, and what is left is a cold, gray ash, and the chilling realization that you were never seen as a person to be warmed, but only as wood to be burned. There is one terror that haunts this hollow mountain more than anything else. More than being left alone, more than failing. It is the fear of being seen. Exposure. Beneath the grand projection of strength lies a deep, shivering emptiness it is desperate to conceal. Every illusion it weaves, every performance it gives, serves a single, sacred purpose: to protect the false self from being seen for what it truly is, a fragile, hollow, and profoundly wounded construction. To maintain this illusion, this energy is always on stage. In the public square, it presents a perfect mask, wise, strong, successful, even humble when the role demands it. It works tirelessly to cultivate the admiration of the crowd. But behind the closed doors of the temple, the story changes. When the audience is gone, or when the only ones left are those who are no longer useful for its image, the mask comes off. The energy becomes chaotic, cold, controlling. It lashes out at those who are closest, not because they have done anything wrong, but because they are witnesses. And a witness is a threat. Anyone who sees behind the mask, who begins to notice the cracks between the public performance and the private reality, becomes the greatest danger of all. At first, this energy will try to pull the witness back into the illusion. It will offer apologies laced with self-pity. It will promise a change of heart. It will create moments of stunning warmth. But if the witness continues to see, the strategy shifts from seduction to annihilation. It will attack. It will weave new stories in which it is the victim, and you are the source of all chaos. You are unstable. You are ungrateful. You are the abuser. This is a war for the story, and it is a war fought without mercy. This terror of being seen drives it to preemptively silence anyone who might speak a different truth. Former partners, friends, even family members who refuse to play their role are branded as toxic or crazy. It will work to isolate you, planting seeds of doubt in the minds of others, all while it maintains its mask of the calm, reasonable center. Its entire world depends on maintaining two separate realities, the one the world admires and the one you secretly endure. And the more of the true story you see, the more of a threat you become. It cannot allow true intimacy because intimacy requires being seen. Vulnerability, which is the very soil of real connection, is its greatest fear. It would require honesty, and honesty would shatter the hollow structure it has spent a life defending. So instead of opening its heart, it deflects. Instead of admitting a fault, it blames. Instead of accepting feedback, it rages or retreats into a wounded silence. Every action is a defense mechanism. Its sole purpose is to keep the hollowness hidden. The deep tragedy is that this energy is not just hiding from you. It is hiding from itself. But in its frantic effort to protect its own illusion, it destroys the very possibility of healing. Anyone who sees its true self is not a potential healer, but a threat to be neutralized. And so the mask must be protected, no matter who it hurts, because for the hollow mountain, to be exposed is not just an embarrassment. It is to cease to exist. The deepest cruelty of this path is not the storm it creates, but the silence that allows the storm to gather. These patterns do not exist in a vacuum. They persist because they are hidden in plain sight, dismissed as something else, or ignored. We do not speak up, often because we cannot. We are too lost in the fog, too ashamed of our own confusion, or too wounded to find the words. And that silence becomes the fertile ground where such shadows grow. As long as no one names the energy, it thrives. It becomes normalized, it becomes justified, and the hollow mountain remains, free to cast its long shadow over a new landscape, a new soul. This silence is not an accident. It is carefully enforced by the energy itself. It creates a climate where speaking the truth feels like a foolish act of self-destruction. You fear you won't be believed. You fear being painted as the unstable one. You fear losing everything. The relationships, the community, the family, that is tied to the mountain's grand and polished image. It manipulates the entire village to remain quiet, to doubt their own eyes, to question their own gut feelings. When that happens, the energy doesn't just win, it erases reality itself. And once your truth has been rewritten by another, you become easy to guide, easy to discard, and easy to forget. But this silence damages more than just one person. It ripples outward. Children who grow up in the mountain's shadow learn to suppress their own weather to keep the peace. Partners learn to accept the cold, mistaking the shadow for shelter. Friends and communities look away because facing the truth of the hollowness is too uncomfortable, too disruptive to the story they want to believe. And so the pattern continues, not because it is unseen, but because it is unspoken. To break that silence is the first practice of liberation. It is the first step toward reclaiming your own ground, to name what you have experienced, the shifting realities, the manipulative currents, the hungry fire, the silent frost, gives form to the invisible. It reclaims power from the energy that stole it. It sends a message into the quiet air: I see you. I will not be silent. I will not carry the secret of your hollowness any longer. Shadows do not hold power because they are strong. They hold power because we allow them to hide. The most dangerous are not the ones that roar, but the ones that smile, that charm, that lie, that wrap their coldness in charisma. They depend on our silence to keep their illusion intact. They fear exposure because exposure is their unraveling. If you have witnessed these patterns in the world, or worse, in the landscape of your own heart, the time to speak is now, not with the fire of vengeance, but with the clear, calm light of truth. Because truth disrupts the illusion. It cracks the facade. It brings what was hidden into the open air. And in the light, the power of the hollow mountain begins to dissolve. Silence is what allows shadows to walk among us as if they were solid things. To speak is not just an act of survival. It is an act of resistance. It is an act of justice. And above all, it is the path back to freedom.